The common thread between all these pieces, with the exception of maybe Ginsberg and Thoreau, is that it's European. It's got a very classic flavor to it. The thread that I hear is like a sense of history, of European history. And of course, Americans and Canadians are very affected, and are the result of European history. So this chronicles poetry history and music history. And that's the thread. And of course, the mere fact that these were all composed by one person, that alone makes a continuous thread through all the pieces. I don't feel that we've jumped from genre to genre. When I hear this, I feel there is a consistency. It's one of my favorite pieces of, one of my favorite CDs I play in my car. Well, of course, now it's on my iPod, and I plug my iPod into my car radio, and I hear recitements when I take long drives. It's just very refreshing to listen to, and I never lose sight for 1 minute that it's all one album. It sounds like all the poets banded together and said, Stephen, write this music for us. We're in a club. We're in the poetry club. This CD is a breath of fresh air. Nowadays, radio is really clamped down, and they want very specific records to play on radio, and they wonder why they're losing listeners. And record companies are doing the same thing. They feel that they need more teenagers making records and more hip-hop people making records. And the evidence is that record sales have dropped and radio listenership has dropped. People will discover Recitement from the remaining venues, and those venues are, of course, the various internet sites. This is going to be a very popular album. It's different. It's so... I see people's reaction when they play this. They go, my God, what is it? And that's good. That's a good reaction. And of course, they don't turn it off. They continue to listen. And it's spellbinding. The music draws in the listener, and you can listen to it on any level, even if you can't understand Dutch or French or Spanish. You know something great is going on there. It's got that sense of importance and classical history and classical significance to it, which people respond to. I mean, we might not get teenagers with listening to this album, but then again, a lot of teenagers are musical students, and they play violin, and they learn violin, they learn piano, and they feel that maybe, I don't hear violin and piano when I hear hip-hop records or radio, but I think this record will reach out to a vast, untapped audience who are just craving for something new. And this just isn't anything. This is something very special and new that people will respond to at a very visceral level, very emotional level. It's emotional music. I actually get very overwhelmed when I hear some of these pieces. And I wouldn't say I'm almost close to crying, but I'm just exploding with feeling when I hear some of these pieces. I almost can't contain the feelings that some of these pieces bring up. And some of it's very humorous. It's lighthearted. I think it's like this thing called Recitement has been put together and crafted very well, like a well-crafted movie that's got everything in it. It's got drama, it's got comedy, romance, life, death. It's got everything. The one thing I'd like to share is that I mixed a lot of this without Stephen Emmer present. Through the magic of the internet, we exchanged MP3 files, and I would get copious remix notes from Stephen, and I'd go and fix these things or change things around. I would zap the MP3 to him that evening. The next morning I'd wake up and I'd find an email from the Netherlands, and there would be another email from Stephen saying, "You got it right," or "Please change this one little thing." But the turning point was when I decided to get more involved in a mixer, and I heard some things like, well, he could have used a baritone guitar here, he could have used a vocal there, and maybe a little string part here, maybe some percussion here. And with his permission, I used the instruments in my studio to add some parts. And I'm very, very pleased that Stephen followed my lead on this, and he allowed me to participate in some of the composition. And I think it made for a better album. Of course, if he said, no, I don't like this stuff, then forget it. You know, I felt it's my job to say that something is needed, or if something needs changing, it's my job to say that I can't remain quiet. And at the same time, I do maintain my objectivity. But that was the turning point when I said to Stephen, I'm going to play a baritone guitar in this track. Tell me what you think. If you hate it, okay, we'll forget about it. But he liked it. Stephen liked it. And you know, probably the most creative fun we had was the Yoko Ono track, Snow is Falling. I put so many different things on it, it turned out that we had actually two separate compositions, a part 1 and a part 2. And we thought about kind of paying homage to a David Bowie album called Scary Monsters, which I produced, and where we had a song open up called It's No Game, and the same song closed the album, but they were very, very different treatments. So we had It's No Game, part 1, part 2. So this album opens and closes with Snow is Falling, parts 1 and parts 2. So I'd say I'm glad Stephen allowed me to get really involved, even committed. And now this album is so much a part of me. I think about it all the time, I play it all the time, and I hope it succeeds because it's truly a great piece of music. Great work. Tony Visconti, out. And I